Cooking with Chris. A generic title, I know, but at the same time, that's who I am, and this is what I do. What you can see here is basic spaghetti. American spaghetti. That's the best way to put this. If you're going to live in America, you're going to eat this a bunch. And in this particular case, we've got some lean ground beef. You can see it's 93% lean. I like to use a little bit leaner. And you can actually look at this thing and see that it's pretty lean. I've seen better ones, but in this case, we're just going to use that. And we also have some Pure Life here. That's going to be our water for our spaghetti, which is going to be there. And we're also going to use ragu and some diced tomatoes, just right out of a can, out of a packet. This is a really simple, fast meal. Americans are always so busy. We're always working. We're always doing stuff. So I figured I'd share this with you and let you see pretty much how it's done. A lot of people don't know how to cook this stuff, and you know, it's pretty simple. I mean, you can make great tasting spaghetti. These are some onions that I pre-sliced, chopped up, and threw in the freezer, and they are excellent for, you know, cooking. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start out at 7 setting, front burner, and it's going to get hot. It's just a standard wooden spoon. You can use wooden or bamboo, whatever you really want. You want to watch your temperature. So this is going to heat up. You're going to hear it heating up. And while that's heating up, we're going to go ahead and throw in some onions, because I like to caramelize them a little bit before I do anything else. So just keep those suckers up. And that's about enough onions. Now you can put if you want a really savory sauce, you can do like a full onion. But this will be pretty nice. And let's go ahead and throw a little bit of oil in there. A bit of canola oil, just a splash. Get that thing sizzling. This was a big yellow onion. That smells good. That onion smell. Nothing smells as good as a sauteed cooking onion. I'll tell you what, onions smell great. So while that's cooking, we're going to go ahead and get our water going, because water actually takes quite a bit of time. Now, a lot of people, they'll use like tap water. You know, all the stuff they put in tap water, you might not want to. Admittedly, this is probably purified tap water, but at least it's purified. And I save the jugs and use them for other stuff. It looks like I need some more water. So now, tap into my other resource. These little bottle things here. I usually like to use these ones, but why not, right? Prefer to use the bigger ones. There we go. Too big of a mess, but it's just water right now. We're going to go ahead and turn this on high, and that's going to be on the rear burner there, so it's going to be high. We're going to move our spaghetti so the heat doesn't take it out. Now you can hear they're sizzling here pretty good, and this smells wonderful. I'm just going to get these to like a caramelization a little bit. That's going to be really the fastest way to those things to taste their best. If you want to, you can put a little bit of butter in there. I use canola oil because it's heart healthy. And cooking with Chris, I always try to create dishes that are going to make you feel better than before you ate them. Now, one of the things you can do with onions, it sounds a little bit strange, but one of the things I like to do is I take a little bit of curry. And let's go ahead and for just a moment and read what's in curry. It says fenugreek, organic ground coriander, organic turmeric, organic ground ginger, organic ground mustard seed, organic cumin, organic ground cloves, organic black pepper, organic ground allspice, organic ground cardamom, and organic anise seed, and organic cayenne. So there's a few ingredients in here that are really, really good for you. Ground mustard seed, that's an anti-cancer, and so is organic cayenne. So both of those two are an anti-cancer, which I think is important. You know, eating foods that prevent cancer is a really good idea. So just for giggles, we're going to put just a smidge in there. See that? And you won't even taste that, but it'll add some cayenne, and it'll add some mustard seed. You can see that yellow really come out there. So this is going to be nice. You're going to get a little yellow color in the sauce. But the onions, you know, they're going to pretty much overpower them. But that still smells awesome. In fact, it smells even better now. It smells like you're downwind from a nice restaurant that I'd eat at. Yeah, it smells wonderful. Really, really great. Okay, so we're almost to the point where we've got our flavor just about right. Now you could salt these as well. So if I were to salt these, I would salt these in about, see, that's about 1, 2, 3 eggs worth. And that's going to give you like a little bit of salt flavor in the onions. Okay, so our pan's getting kind of hot. What we're going to have to do here is we're going to pull all that caramelization. You can see it forming on the bottom of the pan, and we're going to pull that off of there with a little bit of water. That's what this is for. As soon as we get to you don't want to get too dark. We don't want to turn really black. So we're going to just put a little splash on there. Get that right off, and yeah. And I cook by nose. You know, there's knowledge, of course, that I'm using from years of experience, but I cook by nose and by sight. Look at that. It looks great, doesn't it? That only took a couple minutes to caramelize those and get them so they're going to look great in the sauce too. And I think that's important. All right, well, we're just about ready to add our hamburger. I've got this spaghetti seasoning sauce mix, which is one of the things we're going to be using today. But we'll have to wait for just a bit for this to finish up here. See how it just lifted off that nice caramelization and coated the onions. Yeah, these smell pretty good. Okay, well, as soon as the steam pretty much stops rising off of these things, you can see they're sealed in there. That's the sealed goodness. So when you bite these, they're going to taste just awesome. You're going to have these nice little flavor explosions as you eat your spaghetti. It's going to be really tasty. And it's going to be good for you. That mustard seed, like I said, the mustard seed is it's an anti-cancer. So is the cayenne. Always remember, the cayenne is a anti-cancer. It's also good for your circulatory system. And I'll be adding more cayenne and probably some red pepper here as we go. And, you know, I just got different ways of cooking things that maybe you don't cook it that way, but you could start. It's not going to hurt you to live longer. Alright, so we're going to add this in here just real quick, and there we go. Add that in there. Now, there's a trick that I learned. If you want big chunks of hamburger, which I don't like big chunks of hamburger, you know, like big meatballs in my spaghetti, I don't really like that. So what I do is I take a can of diced tomatoes and I'll add those to the hamburger right now. And what it'll do is the acids in the tomatoes will cause the hamburger to break up into really small pieces. So if you ever have trouble like getting your hamburger down to a small size, this is a great way to do it. You just add that right to it. This is also when we're going to add our seasoning, so that's pretty straightforward. Got some spaghetti sauce mix, Now this one here, it says, what do we got here? Onion powder, tomato powder, garlic powder, spices, green bell peppers, and paprika. So that's what our seasoning is going to be. And now that we added this, what we're going to do is, you'll see here, the acids are just going to, the acids in the liquid is just going to cause this hamburger to just fall apart, and it won't be all big and chunky anymore. At this point, if you wanted to, you could raise your temperature. I'm going to go to 8 on this one, and there's, see that right there? I don't like those as much, but got a couple tops in there. Those tops are kind of tangy. If you like them, you can leave them in there. I don't know. I don't really like them, so I'm picking them out. Okay, so you just stir this real slow, real easy, you know. There we go. Yeah, looks like we had to take off the camera because it's getting some stuff on the lens. But you can see it's, we got some parts that are cooking a little faster for us from when they first hit the pan. We want those to all break up. We want this to be a nice, even sauce. This is a lot of meat for a sauce, but we're going to end up reheating this throughout the week for lunches and dinners, and that's going to be nice. See how that just breaks up, and this also allows the meat to cook. Now, as soon as you get it broke up, get all these chunks out. See, I want to have a meat sauce. I don't want to have like giant meat boulders. A lot of people wait too long. They won't add the tomatoes, and it turns into a big mess. Okay, so that was the spaghetti sauce, but I add my own stuff. As you saw, we added a little bit of salt earlier. I also have a few seasonings that I like because I like the way hamburger tastes. Some Montreal steak seasoning, just a couple shakes of that because this is a lot of red meat. And you can never have enough garlic in spaghetti. I don't care who you are. So we're going to go ahead and do at least one circle like that. And this is a lot of hamburger. The best thing you can do is just, I'm cooking with my nose right now and it still doesn't smell quite right. Even at this stage you can smell what it's going to taste like. And technically you could eat it right now, but I wouldn't recommend it. The whole red meat thing. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to finish off this hamburger. We're going to throw a lid on it. Throw a lid over that, and just let that cook down. Move our utensils, and we're going to throw the ragu in there as soon as this is done. And we could throw the ragu in there before, but it tends to change the way it cooks. So I just like to cook it with the tomatoes, and the tomatoes are so acidic. Admittedly, these are mostly tomatoes, and this is the ragu old world traditional style. It says we got tomato puree, that's the #1 ingredient. Of course, you can see all the tomatoes in there. Water, tomato paste, salt, olive oil, sugar, dehydrated onions, dehydrated garlic, spices, garlic powder, or onion powder. So basically the same stuff as we're adding, but you know, I find that these sauces, you can see, they settle. All the actual seasoning settles to the bottom, and the tomato sauce sits on top. Shake that up while we're waiting for that to cook down. Alright, so that's, you can see in there, it's mostly tomatoes. Looks like ground up tomatoes in there. There's like one piece of onion there. There's a little flake of something. So it's not bad. And what I like about ragu is this right here. No artificial colors or high fructose corn syrup. We get too much corn syrup. Corn syrup has kind of a bad rap though, you know, because it's not really as bad for you as you might think. I mean, if you had the same amount of sugar in there as you would with the corn syrup to make it the same amount of sweetness. You know, there's a lot more carbs in sugar. There we go. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's, see, that went instantly from raw to almost done. And see, that actually smells really good. Cool. And that's just a little trick I learned, or taught myself, I should say, on how to get good taste. And you can do that with other meats too. There's one time I had this wonderful elk. It was really good. That's probably my favorite. I've never had elk since, but you can see these onions. Look, see that? They maintain their color. See that kind of yellowy, kind of caramelized color. So it's going to maintain their flavor within the onion. You remember, onions are very porous. They'll suck that flavor up and they'll suck the salt up. So when you're biting into it, you're going to taste that, and it's going to taste really, really good. Now I go so far as to put an entire onion in my spaghetti, but today I didn't do that. Today I wanted to do a saute and have that niceness of the saute. Now this is going to cook down until it's done. The time varies depending on how much meat's in there. You just pretty much want to cook it until it's good and done. And this is the flavor mixing, where you're going to make the meat taste like a specific something. That's why we added our seasoning. Like I said, the ragu, it's more like putting barbecue sauce on when you're done. You know, whereas this is a little bit different. Okay, so we're still cooking here, and as you can see, we get a lot of steam. Turn that over there so it's not pointed at me or the cameras. Just want to let that cook, and you can see the you know, they use some dye nowadays in hamburger and steak and things. You see over here, our spaghetti noodle water is ready. So we're going to take this package of thin spaghetti, and we're gonna cut it open. Watch your fingers. Watch out for your fingers. And then what I do is I take it out and I break it in half. Now sometimes you can add some salt to this too. I forgot to do that here. There you go. A little bit of salt to that. And that'll make it so the water boils a little bit hotter, just a tiny bit. And you also get a little bit of salty flavor in the noodles, which is tasty. Put that out of the way. I need one of these. Okay. And I like the way this thin spaghetti is going to taste really quite good. It's like we're almost out of water in our sauce over there. Okay, and you don't need a separate utensil for, you know, boiling spaghetti water. They're going to go mixed together anyways. So just want to stir that in there, and you want to keep on stirring this when you first add the noodles. That way the noodles don't stick together in a big clump on the bottom. It's very important that, you know, people that are, you know, you probably got a bunch of people buzzing around you in the kitchen while you're cooking. And you just want to kind of like keep stirring this. Just keep on stirring, and it'll separate completely. Make sure all your noodle stalks are down underneath the water. And as soon as you get it so that all the noodles are pretty much, looks like a bird nest in there, you can give it a minute. Let's go ahead and make sure this isn't burning. Alright, so that's starting to look pretty good. The hamburger's almost done. So we're going to have a really great flavor in this hamburger. Matter of fact, it smells really quite good right now. And we're about to add the simmer sauce after we do the cook down. You can see we got a real nice meat sauce consistency, and that's because we added the tomatoes when it was still uncooked. And that makes it so it just falls apart. You see that? It's just completely falling apart. Took like no work, pretty much. And you know, the few strands that are left in there, Those can stay there. So this smells really good already. I could stop right here, but everybody in the house likes that nice red sauce. So you can hear that pop. Make sure you hear the pop when you open up these things. And I always save my jars for other things. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I always rinse my jars as well to get the last of the sauce out. Give it a shake. There we go. And if you want to, you can do 2 jars. Like if you've got a bigger pan, you can do 2 jars of sauce. But this makes a nice meat sauce, and you can see that color is really, you got a real nice meaty color. This is a meaty sauce. Stir it slow so you don't spill it all over the place. But yeah, I'm a little bit of a messy cook. You know, it's just the way it is. You're gonna cook stuff, and it's gonna take time. There we go. Now we're gonna turn the temperature way down. We're gonna go down to 6. We were at 8, and now we're gonna go to 6. We're also gonna adjust our temperature over here on our noodles. Give them a little bit of a stir. Put this back up so we don't blub all over the place. So we turn down the temperature on this one. We can probably just leave this temperature up on this one for a little bit. Let's see, let's turn it down to, we're gonna go down to, looks like 6 on that one. Oh, this one's 5, sorry. This one's 5, this one's 6. And I like to cook my noodles down until the core of the noodle is cooked. You know, you can do the throw it on the wall test, but sometimes that's not good. I really want to taste the texture of the noodles so that it reflects what it's going to taste in the sauce. There's also a consistency of the noodles that I want that will make it so that the noodles, when I drain them, strain them, will absorb the sauce flavor, and that's what I really want. I'm going to actually take all of this sauce and put it with those noodles. I'm just going to take it right together. That way it's all together, and you end up with a really nice sauce. A really nice spaghetti. So we'll just go ahead and let that cook. And this is standard American spaghetti. I've added a few things, as you saw. You know, I added what? I added a tiny bit of cumin, curry powder. I added a tiny bit of salt. You know, we're still in the health zone. Admittedly, this is a red meat. You don't want to eat red meat every day. Eating red meat every day, not good for you. I remember back when I was younger, I went through a little stint where I made money, and for the first time pretty much in my life, and I said, well, I'm going to eat steak. I'm going to eat steak. I'm going to eat steak. And I eat steak basically every day, and unfortunately, eventually it catches up with you. Yeah, but this is going to be a good balance either way. We're going to end up with balancing out the carbs. These noodles contain a lot of carbs. We need to go back up to 7 on the noodles. 6 was too low. But at the same time, you know, you can slow. The noodles will absorb the water. And you can see what's happening here. Let's just go ahead and see what's happening here. There's some magic going on here. Let's go ahead and tilt our lid. Oh, look at that. So, this is the heavier fats and oils that are coming up to the surface from the sauce. And I'm sure a lot of you don't do this, but it's a really good idea to just get that out of there. And I guess we could use my big industrial fancy spoon to do that, because that's what this is for. My spaghetti spoon. And you can just grab that stuff. And you're going to lose a little bit of seasoning, but nothing that you'll notice. But you will notice the lack of fat. Just take that right off of there, too. You got to watch it when you're this thick, too. Okay, I'm going to turn it down to 5 now. More of a slow simmer. And this is a very meaty sauce. I'm sure that a lot of you don't make sauces this meaty, but I want to balance out the carbs. Everything that I cook, I try to balance out between the proteins and the carbs, the anti-cancers and things that I put in here. Speaking of anti-cancers, I bet I need a little bit more anti-cancer in there. So we have two types of things. You have chili powder and we have cayenne pepper. Now this cayenne pepper, this is hot. You'll taste this. This stuff you don't really taste. So if you want to add a little tiny bit, just a dash. See that? Just a smidge. And that's going to give a little bit of kick to your spaghetti sauce, but not much. Mix that right in there, and you won't even taste that, other than it'll be just one more layer of flavor that your palate detects. And we got these sweet onions in here. See, the onions are coming out. Look at that. It looks nice, right? Onions. That mix of flavors. Pulling some of that grease out of there. Let's go ahead and let that simmer a bit more. Stir up our noodles here. And honestly, I mean, you know, when I'm stirring the noodles with the same spoon as my sauce, it's sterilizing it. It's adding some of the flavor from that into the noodles. So the noodles are going to get a little bit of that flavor too. We're going to go ahead and keep siphoning off some of the oil as it comes up. Because it's going to come up real slow. It's kind of what it does. And we're almost done. We're getting closer to being done. So, you know, this doesn't take long to make American spaghetti. I think that it's something that everybody should be cooking as a staple. It's easy to store in your pantry. You know, noodles pretty much last, I don't know, 5 years or so, and longer if you keep them in a better sealed container. And you know, like those sealable, like ammo cans. If you want to go ammo can, you can put. See, we survived off spaghetti for a while. There was a sale on these giant ragu spaghetti jugs, and we bought like, I bought like 100 of them, and then I bought all the noodles to go with it because it was this discount canned food warehouse place that they had, and I bought all this stuff, and we literally ate that stuff for 3 years. So I bought enough food to eat for like 3 years, which was amazing. The amount of food you get from spaghetti is just amazing. Now, I wish that some stove, I think my next stove is going to have both the big burners up front. I don't like having the burner in the back. It's so annoying. It's, you know, why not have the two big burners up front? And if you need the small one, put it in the back. I don't know why they seem to think that this is like a universal design and everybody wants it. It's just incorrect. Okay, so we got another little tiny oil slicks forming up there, and we want that grease to come out. You can see right there, and the more that you pull out, the less you're going to have in your circulatory system. I mean, you want to have a balance, and if it were up to me, I would probably make this dish extremely spicy, but I'm cooking for my family, and they don't like, you know, extremely spicy like I do. But this is going to taste really good. We could add some more onion, but I think right now the smell is very, very spaghetti-like coming off of this thing, so that's good. It's probably from the seasoning packet, plus the onions, plus the ragu. Yeah, it's got a hint of salt. Now we're gonna have to try this. That's one thing. You know, if you're going to cook stuff, you're going to have to try it so that you know what it tastes like before you serve it. And I totally recommend that to any of you burgeoning cooks out there, that you do try it. And you can season it to taste. Now, one of the things about seasoning hot food versus seasoning cold food is that when it's hot, you can't taste it as easily. You really gotta use your nose, you know. Now, this thin spaghetti is just about done. Let's grab a piece of that and check it out. Alright, so, well, still got a core. You want to cook it until that core is gone. You can see we got a bit of an outer area right there, if you can see that. It's cooked, but the inner part is still very core-like. I mean, we got a good flex, but it's still kind of stiff. If you like stiff spaghetti, that's fine, but I always find it gives everybody like excessive gas or something, I don't know, or stomach aches. And so yeah, it's still too strong. See, like I'm pulling on it, it's still not breaking very easy. So, all right, so let's go ahead and siphon off some more of this artery clogging oil. And spaghetti can be one of those dishes that you have, you know, every once in a while. But like I said, we survived off this stuff for a while. When you talk about a survival food, there's not much better than what you can do with spaghetti. I mean, you can put all different kinds of meat in it. Like I said, I had ground elk one time that would be great as a spaghetti meat. And this morning I skipped breakfast so I could have this. A lot of times I'll have a salad. And today I'm going after the red meat because sometimes you need red meat. Just get the majority of it and you'll be like, oh, I'm scooping off all my sauce. Now you're pretty much just scooping off some water. A couple seasonings here and there. Alright, so let's give that another stir. This is almost done, and the noodles are almost done too. One of the big things you want to do is you want to start your water for your noodles basically at the same time or before you start your sauce. When you're talking about this is not old world style as much. This is more, I'm in a hurry, I need to cook, I need something. Now, admittedly, when you cook spaghetti, a lot of people make the mistake of walking away from their spaghetti. And that's how you get that burnt spaghetti on the bottom. If you cook it too high a temperature, if you walk away from it for too long, it will burn. The noodles will stick to the bottom if you run out of water. So pretty much when you're cooking spaghetti, it's a job. You're going to stand right there at the stove and you're going to cook it, and it's going to be awesome. When you're done, you're really going to like it. And everybody in your family, the big thing about cooking for your family is you want to make large meals that are healthy, that they'll dig. And in this particular case, everybody loves my spaghetti, and my wife was like, you need to make a cooking show because your food is awesome. And I agree. I eat a lot of different places, and it's hard to match my flavors. My flavors are very unique. Like this one right here, it's going to taste absolutely awesome. But we're gonna find out just here in a second how awesome it is. Get a little bit of a sample thing going on here. Let's go a little bit deeper. Okay, so we got a little bit of the tomato. You can see the seasoning in there. You can still see quite a bit of a little bit of fat. You can see the shininess. But this is I'm gonna let that sit for just a minute. Let it cool off because I want to be able to taste what it is. And based upon what you taste, you're almost done. The noodles are almost done. The sauce is almost done. And based upon how that tastes, I will add the final ingredients. Whether it's salt, whether it's spice, whether it's more pepper, whether, you know, the last things you add before you serve it are going to create that last bit of flavor. Remember, every time you pass over a sauce or anything you're cooking, one pass, that's one pass, that's two passes, and that'll kick it up one notch for whatever you're adding to the sauce or whatever you're cooking. Okay, these noodles are starting to look kind of good. Let's see what we got. That's almost done. Those are almost done. So, if you want to, you could pull it right now, and it wouldn't be a big deal. The flavor's there, and the noodles will continue sucking in moisture from the sauce if we pull it right now. So we're going to go ahead and pull that right now and strain it. My handy-dandy strainer out. So we're going to turn off our temperature here. So that's done. I mean, the inside's almost done, so as it sits there, it's going to keep on cooking. Now, you can blanch your noodles. You can cool them down real fast by pouring cold water over them, and it just freezes them, but I don't want them to stop cooking. I want to transfer them out of the water and transfer the sauce in there and finish cooking it like that. So let's go ahead and pull this. I'm going to let the noodles drain completely, roughly, because I want them to absorb that sauce. I want these noodles to have that sauce, and I want them to stay hot. So We're not just going to let it sit over there and get all cold and weird like a bunch of little worms. Okay, so now we're going to try the sauce here real quick. Okay. Because of the tomatoes, I gotta find a place for this. Hold on. Because of the tomatoes, it has a tang. It has a sharp tang. So how would you reduce a sharp tang in a tomato sauce? You can add cheese. Oh, too fast there. Oops. Yeah, I guess we'll be cleaning up that here and that. That's gonna be a mess. Let me slow down. So we have a lot of tang here, but I think the noodles are gonna get rid of that tang. Let's move the noodles over to the front burner. Keep it on 4. Add our sauce. Yeah, I think the starches of the noodles are gonna balance out that tang, and that's why we want to get this sauce in there with the noodles as soon as we can. We want the noodles to keep on cooking, but now we want them to cook with the sauce. And it does taste really quite good. It's a simple flavor. You could make it more complex. You could add some black olives. You could add some other stuff. But right now I'm just wanting some simplicity. Maybe some, yeah, I think maybe some cheese over the top would help balance that tang. But you kind of want that tang. You want it to be a bite. You want it, when somebody puts it in your mouth, you want savory or do you want tang? And I think that right now the spaghetti sauce is going to be, as soon as it gets done balancing out with these noodles, because the noodles are going to add a bunch of starch, and the acids are going to go way down now. The longer you let it sit in here, technically, the better it's going to taste. Now look at that. That right there, I'm going to turn it down to 2. Alright, we'll turn it down to low. That right there is basically exactly what you want. Nothing's burned. Sorry, getting a couple pictures there. Hope you don't mind. That last picture actually turned out really good. Okay, you have to watch it kind of closely right now with your as your pan cools down to the simmer temperature. This is more of a holding temperature. Look at that. See that? See the noodles are picking up that sauce. You can see it because the noodles themselves are changing colors, and you want to move that around the noodles. You want the noodles to keep on cooking and to pick that up. Pick up that sauce. Look at that. There we go. That looks pretty good. Can't believe I spoiled it. I'm going to have to clean that up. Where's my rag? Ugh. Messy, messy, messy. Clean that up. Make sure you don't burn your hand. Alright, so we got that pretty much cleaned up. And you can see that's a big pot of food. And it contains a lot of what you need. I would say, what do we got? You got a lot of vitamin C from the tomatoes. We got some garlic, that's a clot buster. We got onions, that's more of a flavor, but it does add some pleasantness to the meal. Now, this particular batch included those green tops, which I threw one of them out, but you can see there's a lot of green tops. See the green tops there? Those are going to be very, very, very tangy. And I guess that would be an alright thing, but I'm looking for more kind of a savory flavor. Alright, so we cleaned up our mess for the most part. There we go. And wash my hands. Now, one thing about cooking, if you want everybody to stay safe, you gotta wash your hands like all the time. Yeah, I try to cook it till everything's just nice and look at that. Doesn't that look great? Doesn't that look great? That's just, in my opinion, that's what spaghetti should look like right there. You got the bits of, you can still see the color in the caramelized onions. It's got that slight yellow color. And then you got the tomatoes, you got a nice broken up meat sauce that doesn't have big chunks. So every bite is going to have meat in it, and you're going to have, see how the noodles sucked up the sauce? See how the sauce is all stuck to the noodles, and the noodles have a slight coloring? That coloration is going to increase as the noodles sit in this sauce and cook. I'm going to bring some of that sauce up to the top so it drains down over the noodles. Yeah, I was at a swap meet not too long ago. That's where I found this spoon. Brand new spoon. I was like, oh, that's a nice spoon. It's made out of some strange wood. Pretty nice though. I like the shape of it. I didn't buy this one at Walmart. It's one of the few things I didn't buy at Walmart, and I buy a lot of things at Walmart. Just this was not one of them, and for now it's my cooking spoon. So let's see if that if the noodles have balanced out this this sauce. I'm gonna let it sit over there. Now, a lot of people like to add more. A lot of people like to add salt, salt to flavor. I would rather have my food a little bit bland than over salted, because you can always add more salt later. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the noodles did exactly what I thought they would. They sorted it right out, and wow, that turned out awesome. If you could taste this right now, you'd be so happy. This tastes awesome. Now, I'm gonna have myself a big bowl of it. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in today. It was kind of a first for me doing a cooking show. Normally I cook. I've just a little bit of background on me. I cooked at IHOP for a little over a year. I was trained by an Orange Scarf at the time, and those guys, they travel the world. It's IHOP International. This is way back in the day. And I've also worked in European bistros, greasy spoons, fine dining. Let's see, where have I been? Seafood, family cooking, fast food, and a lot of food for my family. I've been cooking now for my family now for where am I? 25 years with these guys, and that was one of the things my wife really liked was my pork chops. I'll have to do a video on those. My pork chops turn out really good, but you can see, look how good that looks. Look how good that looks. This is how spaghetti is supposed to look and taste, in my opinion. And it turned out a wonderful color. The flavor is amazing. The flavor is just absolutely amazing. I don't know how to explain just how good the flavor turned out on this thing. But if you make it exactly the way I made it, you can taste it too. Thanks for tuning in, and happy cooking.